This is College Football 26 Dynasty with every conference from their golden age of college football. So this is from a video I did on my main channel today, which I'll put in the description as well as at the end of the video. You can watch it now if you want to see kind of the methodology and some history behind these conferences, but we did have to make a few changes for this side of the video. So, of course, the American is the Big East is the American. So this is from the 91 to 2004 setup of the Big East. We did have to make a few changes for College Football 26 to make it all work. So we did include like a naturalized citizen is what we were calling it. So one team that would be that was not from the specific era we were looking at, but had been in the conference. We had to kind of stretch that a little bit here for the American to make it all work, since we're limited on the number of independent teams we could have. So Navy, North Texas, Tulsa, and UCF are teams that are currently or have been in the American that are in this Big East lineup. But the original lineup was Boston College, Miami, Pitt, Rutgers, Syracuse, Temple, VT, and West Virginia. The ACC, this is from technically supposed to be the 4-team playoff era of the ACC, but because we had to move some teams that were overlapping, like basically all of the Big East, and then a few teams from like Conference USA, the ACC looks more like it's kind of 90s lineup. So Clemson, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, NC State, North Carolina, Virginia, and Wake Forest are the teams that were actually in the ACC during that time. SMU is the naturalized citizen who, of course, is currently in the ACC. The Big Ten is from the 14 playoff era as well. There are a few teams that are left out here because they're in other conferences. Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota, Northwestern, Ohio State, Penn State, Purdue, and Wisconsin. This would also include Nebraska and Rutgers, but Nebraska is going to be in the Big 12. Rutgers is in the American. The Big 12, this is the original Big 12 lineup. No changes necessary here. Baylor, Colorado, Iowa State, Kansas State, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma State, Texas, A&M, and Tech. Conference USA, this is one of my most interesting ones. The naturalized citizen here is Western Kentucky, who is currently in the Conference USA. Other than that, this is their lineup from 96 to 2004, outside of TCU, who is in the Mountain West. But this is what it looks like. Army, or it's not from 96 to 2004. It's from 2004. 96 was much smaller, but 2004 is this lineup. Army, Cincinnati, ECU, Houston, Louisville, Memphis, Southern Miss, Tulane, UAB, USF, and the naturalized citizen, Western Kentucky. We have a ton of independent teams. These are teams that were from the WAC before the WAC was brought into the Mountain West. They are teams that had not been brought up by the time that we got some of the Golden Age lineups. A lot of these teams are Conference USA teams, current Mountain West teams, and then, of course, Notre Dame and UConn as well. The MAC has the naturalized citizen here. Oh, we didn't actually end up doing a naturalized citizen for this one because we didn't need to at this point. Akron, Ball State, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Kent State, Miami, Ohio, Northern Illinois, Ohio, Toledo, UMass, and Western Michigan. Just the current MAC that we have now. The Mountain West is from 2008 with Boise State as the naturalized citizen. They would have joined in 2011 or 2012. This lineup could have gone is basically 2011. So it's Air Force, BYU, Boise State, Colorado State, New Mexico, San Diego State, TCU, UNLV, Utah, and Wyoming. Pac-12, we have one naturalized citizen here, which is Fresno State, because they would have been left out of the Mountain West switch. This is essentially just the original Pac-10, or not the original Pac-10, but the Pac-10 that we know and love. Fresno State gets a naturalized citizen because they will be joining the conference in 2026, next season. Arizona State, Cal, Fresno State, Oregon State, Stanford, UCLA, USC, Washington, and Washington State. Last video, the Pac-10 was our best conference. The SEC is the BCS era SEC, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. So the original SEC, essentially adding Arkansas and South Carolina, of course. And then the Sun Belt is the current Sun Belt. We naturalized Louisiana Tech, who is going to be joining the conference next season. They were a part of the WAC during the time of the... So, anyway, They fit in the Sun Belt here. App State, Arkansas State, Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, JMU, Louisiana, Louisiana Tech, Marshall, ODU, South Alabama, Texas State, Troy, and UL Monroe. So I've got my Rangers hat on. We're going to roll with North Texas. We're going to do 3 seasons, see who's the best conference, best team, all the things we usually look at. We'll see you at the first CFP rankings. So something I'm hoping for this time is some more G5 teams that actually make it into the top 25 and eventually the CFP. Interesting that we see Kansas State in the top of the Big 12 and in the top 5 in the country. A&M was also in the top 5 in the country. So 2 Big 12 teams, 2 SEC teams, and Oregon, who just got off of beating the naturalized citizen Fresno State. Big 12 is actually doing really well. They have, 5 teams that would be in the playoff at this point. 3 teams from the Big 10, 4 teams from the Big 10, including Michigan there. So very good start for those 2 conferences. Do we see any? So Utah is out of the Mountain West here. So not a classic. BYU and Utah, I guess at this point they are G5. They're ones that have moved up, but they are still G5. Louisville is also a G5 team at this point. Notre Dame is independent. So, okay, a little bit of interesting, a few interesting things going on in the top 25. Let's take a look at the American standings. I thought that North Texas was doing pretty well, 5-2. Okay, so haven't played a lot of conference games yet, but still 4th in the conference, 5-2, well on their way to a bowl game, might be fighting for the conference championship depending on what we have left. So, lost to Pitt. Kind of had the easy game so far, but nothing necessarily crazy difficult for the rest of the season. So very well could see them in the conference championship game. Let's go to that conference championship game and see what's up. So didn't quite make the conference championship, but 9-3 in the first season for North Texas. Very successful. Okay, so the ACC championship game, Duke has somehow made it back to the ACC championship game. They do pretty well in the Sims. SMU, the naturalized citizen, did make it in as well, but they're probably not going to make it into the playoff, win or lose. Duke probably has to win to get in. Miami, same story, probably has to win to get in from the American. Pitt, nice story, but not going to make it in. They're 9-3, so North Texas, if we could have beat Pitt, would have been in the American Championship game with maybe a chance to make it in. We're not ranked as it currently sits. Tech versus A&M in the Big 12 championship game. I don't know that has ever actually happened in a Big 12 championship game. Actually, I know for a fact that has never happened in a Big 12 championship game. So Texas history there. Indiana, Michigan also never happened in a Big 10 championship game. Big 12, Big 10. Conference USA. So, okay, the 2 teams that we would expect, Louisville, USF. Neither team is going to make it in, but we do see kind of 2 of the favorites making it to the championship. MAC doesn't really matter. We're 2 9-3 teams, though, so not bad. Utah probably is not going to make it in, but they're at least there. Oregon, USC, the classic Pac-10 championship game we see every time we run this sim. USC win and in. Oregon is in either way as they have an undefeated regular season on their hands. Top 3 matchup, Alabama, Georgia. This is probably more power or 4-team playoff era SEC classic, but if Alabama, LSU probably would be the BCS Classic. And then James Madison is number 20 in the country, and they're not going to make it into the playoff, but we do get ranked teams in all but one of the conference championship games, which is very good to see. There were a couple teams that weren't accounted for. Ole Miss, okay, is 3rd in the SEC. Oklahoma out of the Big 12, and Notre Dame. So USC definitely needs to win. Oh, UCLA had a pretty good season. UConn had a very good season, 10-2. Actually, want to look into that a little bit. Who did they lose to? Ball State and Duke. They win that Ball State game. They're very well could be in the playoffs. What happened? How'd you lose to Ball State? Very fake 10-2. They beat Kent State by 1, lost to Ball State. Duke's number 10 in the country, but they beat FIU by 3. Not a great season from UConn, but this could be the possibility with so many independent teams. Okay, let's go to the bracket. I thought Mestamaker won the national championship. So he wins the Sean Alexander Award, which is the Freshman Player of the Year. Okay. Somebody was getting on me for not knowing about Drew Mestamaker earlier on in a video. I told them that I'll know his name when he transfers out and gets a big NIL deal. He is transferring out and going to get a big NIL deal this year in the transfer portal. So there you go. Who won the Heisman? Did it skip over the Heisman just to show us? Le'Veon Moss wins the Heisman. A running back Heisman. That is a very rare sight in CFB 26 and in real life. North Texas will be taking on Tennessee in the Tax Slayer Bowl. Okay, pretty good start from North Texas, especially if they can get that win, make a 10-win season. Let's take a look at what the bracket looks like. So Oregon got the win, undefeated regular season. They're the only Pac-12 team, and Notre Dame makes it in as an independent. They'll be playing Alabama, who lost in the SEC championship game to Georgia. Notre Dame, Alabama, winner takes on Oregon in the Cotton Bowl. Miami, Texas Tech, two teams that often have success in the first year. Miami won the Big East/American. Texas Tech looks like they lost in the Big 12 championship game, but the winner will take on number 1 Big 10 champion Michigan in the Rose Bowl. Oklahoma out of the Big 12 and Ole Miss out of the SEC 2 non-conference championship game participants. The winner will take on A&M, who won the Big 12 as we mentioned. Duke and Indiana both lost their conference championship game. Duke in the ACC, Indiana in the Big 10. Winner will take on Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. So 1 from the Pac-12, 3 from the SEC, 3 from the Big 12, 1 from the Big East/American, 1 from the ACC, 2 from the Big 10, and the independent Notre Dame. And then only 3 teams did not compete in a conference championship game to make it in. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 conferences participating plus an independent in our first round. That's pretty good for our first year. All right, Alabama gets the win by 2 over Notre Dame. They'll take on Oregon in the Cotton Bowl. Miami gets the win by 3 over Texas Tech. They'll take on Michigan in the Rose Bowl in an interesting matchup. Miami-Michigan is not a game I've ever thought about. Definitely have thought about Oregon-Alabama. Should have been the 2013 BCS National Championship game. No, would have been Oregon-Notre Dame, but either way. Ole Miss puts the smackdown on Oklahoma. They will take on the Big 12 champion A&M in the Orange Bowl. And the Sugar Bowl is Indiana after they double up Duke. They're taking on Georgia. So basically chalk aside from the Miami slight upset in the 8-9 matchup. Mestemaker threw 6 TDs in the Gator Bowl against Tennessee, but did we win? Mestemaker's getting all kinds of National Player of the Week in the Gator Bowl when there's CFP games, and they lost the game. So they were very impressed, even though he didn't make them win the game. Okay. Alabama gets the win over the Ducks by 11. They'll take on Michigan, who won against Miami. That's the Peach Bowl in the top part of the bracket. 2 upsets on the bottom part of the bracket. Ole Miss over A&M by 5. Indiana over Georgia by 2 touchdowns. Last video, Indiana won the first national championship. They could be on their way this year to getting 2 straight first national championships in our videos. And it's a Big 10 title game rematch. Michigan goes by 3 over Alabama. They make it to Miami. Indiana by 6 over Ole Miss. They make it to Miami. 2 one-score games in the semifinal. Big 10 title game rematch. Indiana's going for 2 straight first national championship game victories in our videos. We're starting off with a banger season here, folks. This one is going to be a good one. Make sure that you like and subscribe. And they do it. 2 straight first national championship game victories for Indiana. They're by 1 over Michigan. Big 10 is heavily in the lead for the number 1 conference in the video after having both teams in the national championship from their conference. So we were able to keep Mestemaker here, so it could be in for another great season from North Texas. Really looking for 10 wins here because we're probably not going to be able to hold on to him next season, but let's sim to the first CFP. Okay, we're really cooking now. So Michigan is on a warpath to get back to the national championship game after losing last season. They're number 1 overall. A&M was one of our best teams last year. Duke's one of the best teams. Ohio State we didn't see up there last year. Everybody else, Pitt we didn't see up there last year. We've got something coming up with Pitt here. Penn State, UCLA was up there but didn't quite get in there. Okay, this is a really good start to this video here. North Texas is number 20. And they will be facing off against Pitt at Pitt, who's number 7 in the country, avenging a loss from last season. They did lose by quite a bit to Miami recently. So this is a tough one. But if they can get past this game, there is definitely a path to the American Championship game for North Texas in a rematch against Miami most likely. But this is a tough game here because Pitt gets really good. But this is probably the best chance we have to see a G5 team that we're following make it to the college football playoffs. So we're going to sim 1 week and see what the results are of this game. Came up short. What was the final score? Team schedule. Came up short quite a bit, 36. So I think that third in the American is about where North Texas sits with this current lineup. Pitt and Miami both dominated them. We finished third last season. I think we're right around fourth or fifth right now. Yeah, fifth place, tied with, or I guess sixth place. But we have the same number of losses as three other teams here. So could very well find our way back in there. We need Miami to probably lose its last two games. Two of the last three games. Oh no, the last two games. We need them to lose against Navy and Rutgers. Everybody else will lose out. We win out. Or at least, well, we need Miami to lose two to get into the championship game. Too bad. Probably not going to happen. But could get our first 10-win season after not winning the bowl game last season. 10-2, number 21 in the country. Let's see the conference championships here. We're not in the conference championship, but the American, okay, it is Pitt, Miami. So the two teams we lose to are in the conference championship. Pitt is probably win or lose in the CFP. Miami probably needs to win to get in. 8 versus 9 in the Pac-10 championship game with two undefeated teams. This is where the sim kind of pisses me off because, watch, Michigan or Duke is going to have a loss. Oh, okay, they're both undefeated. Alabama has a loss. LSU has a loss, but they're ranked right around the same time. Okay. Anyway, we got the rematch of last year's Big 12 championship game. Yeah, Texas Tech has two losses, but they're ranked above both Oregon and UCLA, who are undefeated in a power conference. I digress. Both Texas teams are probably in again this season. We have a couple non-ranked teams. No Sun Belt Championship ranked team. No MAC ranked team. But a pretty good layout. And definitely the best season from North Texas so far. Let's see what we're missing from the top 25 here. I think there's a couple spots that weren't covered. Penn State, we didn't see. Their third in the Big Ten. Ohio State was in the Big Ten. They probably need to win to get in. We didn't see them in last year. Florida, we didn't see either. LSU was in the conference championship game. So there's a little bit of a mess here. I guess it's a rematch of Ohio State and Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. Looks like Ohio State lost last week. So a little bit of a mess here right at the end. We'll see what happens when we go to the bracket. Mayava wins the Heisman. Last video, he won the second Heisman as well. That's when USC ended up dominating the video. North Texas back to the Gator Bowl. We're taking on Nevada this time. Not as important of an opponent, but got the 10 wins, number 22 in the country. A win here could have a top 20 finish with an 11-win season. And if we can keep Mastermaker, potentially a very good sign for the final week or for the final season of the video. Let's look at the bracket. Okay, so Alabama wins the SEC. They're the number 4 seed. They will take on Pac-11 championship game loser UCLA or Penn State. I feel like there's some kind of Penn State UCLA game. Oh yeah, that's right. UCLA was the one that actually put the nail in the coffin for James Franklin this year. So the winner of the James Franklin Bowl will go on to play Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. Florida and Texas Tech look like both non-conference champions. Winner will go on to take our number 1 seed, Michigan, who is looking for revenge from last season after losing to Indiana, who is not in this year. Pitt, our American champion, takes on Ole Miss, who's in for the second straight season after not winning the SEC or not being in the SEC championship game in each of those two seasons. The winner will take on ACC champion Duke, who's in for the second straight season. LSU's in for the first time. They'll take on undefeated Pac-12 champion or Pac-11 champion Oregon, with the winner taking on A&M. So we have Oregon, A&M, Duke, Ole Miss, Michigan, Texas Tech, Alabama, all in for the second time. UCLA, Penn State, Florida, Pitt, Duke, LSU are all in for the first time. So it's about even 6-6 there. And we don't have any conference in that didn't make it in last season, right? It's all the same conferences that made it in last season. Okay, our 12 seed gets the win big time, 31-3. That's a pretty similar score to what James Franklin got fired on. UCLA will take on Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. Florida crushes Texas Tech. Not good games on the top of the bracket. Only really one good game in the whole first round. Florida takes on Michigan in the Orange Bowl. They get essentially a home game, not really a home game, but quite a bit of an advantage geographically over Michigan, even though they are the 9 seed. Ole Miss beats Pitt by 8 They will take on Duke. I think Ole Miss got the win in the first round last year as well. That's going to be in the Fiesta Bowl. And then Oregon crushes LSU. They will take on A&M in the Peach Bowl. I think we haven't seen the MAC, haven't seen the Mountain West, and we haven't seen, what is one other conference? The Sun Belt or Conference USA. So 4 conferences have yet to make it in, which I guess would be like the G4, because this Big East is a pretty power conference. We love the Gator Bowl. This year we get the win. 11-win season for North Texas. We're definitely going to look at the final bracket, or final top 25. 7 for 125 and a tud for Durr Jr. Durr is a terrible last name. Okay, what is the bracket, though? So UCLA does not keep the Destiny run alive. They lose by 2 tuds against Alabama. They will take on Florida, who gets the unfair advantage in the Orange Bowl. They win by 10 against Michigan. Michigan does not make it back to the national championship game this season. The Big Ten does not make it back to the national championship game this season. Alabama and Florida in an SEC, all SEC matchup in the Sugar Bowl. The Pac-12, or 11, is represented by Oregon after they get a 3-point win over A&M. And the ACC is represented by Duke, who crushed Ole Miss. Duke, Oregon in the Rose Bowl in the semifinal. Duke, Florida in the national championship. Florida wins by 3. Duke puts the smackdown on Oregon. Duke's looking for an undefeated season, 16-0. Florida is looking for a bit of an underdog run, being underdogs in each of their games in the CFP. The Big Ten still will have a hold on the best conference, but the winner of this would be kind of in second place going into the final season. And Duke gets a national championship game victory. I've seen them have good seasons. I don't know how many times I've seen Duke actually get a win in the national championship, let alone a 16-0 season. So Duke takes over best team in the conference because they've been in, or in the video, they've been in 2 straight seasons, and they get the 16-0 regular season, or season with the national championship undefeated. So Duke takes over best team in the video. ACC probably goes into second place for best conference in the video. It did look like North Texas finished in the top 20. Okay, so we'll check at the beginning of the season to see if Mestamaker stays. I think that North Texas has a real chance at making a run to the Big East/American Championship game this season. And if you haven't seen it, our G5 All-Star game video, All-Star Conference video, North Texas at the end of the video comes in, wins, gets into the college football playoff somehow, and wins a college football playoff game, getting us the one thing we were looking for in that video. Can North Texas pull it off in this video to get us into the CFP in the final season? We'll see what happens with the depth chart. So we lost Mestamaker in the transfer portal this season. Maybe I should have used some of these points to try to save that, but I'm not trying to make something happen. But we lose Mestamaker in the transfer portal. Probably not going to see that run this season for North Texas. That's a bummer. I tried to find Mestamaker. It looks like he must have gone to the NFL or did some stupid thing where he's a backup somewhere. But 6-2 this year for North Texas so far. Got a matchup against Miami this week, which probably is not going to go super great. Clemson is the number 1 team in the country. They have Bryce Underwood currently, which I found in my search for Mestamaker. Pitt is at the top of the conference in the American. Might see Ohio State in the playoff for the first time. Oregon is up there as well. Florida was our runner-up last year. Michigan has been one of the better teams in the video. They could find a way to get the best team in the video if they can get a win here. Don't see Indiana or Duke in the top 25. Those are our 2 previous winners there. So the best team in the video is wide open. Currently, the Big Ten is the best conference in the video. The ACC might take it with Clemson in the number 1 spot in the country, but they have Florida State kind of hanging around there, SMU hanging around there. So maybe they'll get 2 teams this video there in this season, but for real, the best conference is wide open. Our conference standings here, yeah, so Pitt and Miami, yeah, kind of the same spot that we were with Mestamaker. What were the teams that we lost to, though? We lost to Navy by 3. That's a rough loss. Get the win against Texas Tech, which should have been a start for the good season, and we lose to Pitt. So if we didn't lose that Navy game, maybe we had a chance. Coming off 2 byes in a row, there's an outside chance that we can make it with, if we win this game, we have a path to, do we play Temple in the final games? We have a path to the conference championship. We don't play Temple, so we need a loss from Temple somewhere along the way. But there is a path with a victory against Miami to make it to the conference championship game. If they lose, they're probably not going to make it. So not a great end to the season, but 8-4 is a really good season, all things considered. I would say North Texas has had a successful sim so far. So nothing out of Conference USA. We didn't get anybody out of Conference USA in the entire time. We might get our first Mountain West team in, depending on what happens here. We got 2 ranked teams in the MAC. Probably not going to make it in. We didn't get anybody from the Sun Belt in the whole time. We get our classic Pac-10 matchup, Oregon USC. A&M is in for their 3rd straight time in the playoff and their 3rd straight Big 12 championship game. Oklahoma, I think, was in the first one and then didn't make it to the second one. Florida was our runner-up last season. Doesn't look like they're going to make it in. Michigan was our runner-up the first season. Doesn't look like they're going to make it back. And so we're going to have probably a new champion this year. Definitely a new champion and a new team with the run to the top. So it'll be very interesting to see how that works out. Ohio State will be in for the first time as well. Okay, so 2 straight Heismans for USC. Marcel Reed transfers in from A&M, gets the Heisman at USC. Interesting because A&M was still a top team this year, so I wonder what happened for that all to go down. We get the Jet Award. 2nd straight video player from our team has won the Jet Award, the Return Specialist Award, so that's pretty good. North Texas against Hawaii in the Military Bowl. Hawaii is an independent team that is going to be playing in the Military Bowl, so that is interesting. Not as good of a bowl game as we had before, but 3 straight bowl games. Again, we will live with that. Let's look at the bracket. Okay, so A&M lost the Big 12 championship game. We get a Mountain West team in at the end of the video. Utah could really save this video if they could go on a little bit of a run here. So they're going to take on Ohio State, who's the only team out of the Big 10 to make it in this time. It's their first time in. So Big 10, their best team, our best conference is riding on a string there, I guess. Winner takes on A&M. We could get a Red River shootout in the Sugar Bowl if Texas can take down USC. USC's in for their second time after they win. No. This is their first time after they win the Pac-12 championship game. Oklahoma's second time, Texas's first time. Oregon is in for the 3rd straight time. They will take on Clemson, who I think is in for their first or second time, with the winner taking on Miami, who is in for their second time. Notre Dame for the second time, Pitt for the second time, and Florida State for the first time. The winner of the first 2 will face the last one in the Peach Bowl. So the conferences that weren't represented are Conference USA, Sun Belt, and the MAC. Those are the 3 conferences that don't make it in. Mountain West, who made it in for the first time, gets smacked by Ohio State. So Ohio State versus A&M in the Rose Bowl. USC gets past Texas, so we don't get the Red River shootout in the Sugar Bowl. Oklahoma and USC. I think this is a rematch of like the 2005 BCS championship game, I want to say. USC won that one. Oregon versus Miami in what should have been the 2001 BCS national championship. After Oregon wins by 11, that's in the Fiesta Bowl. And Notre Dame beats Pitt by 3. They'll take on Florida State in a pseudo ACC matchup in the Peach. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that we lost to Hawaii in the Military Bowl. Okay. Ohio State gets the win by 3 over Texas A&M. Does that solidify it for the Big 10? No, it does not. There's a scenario in which it doesn't. USC beats Oklahoma by 11. Oregon by 28-18 over Miami. FSU by 14 over Notre Dame. Okay, so here is where we stand. Oregon has made a semifinal previous to this last season. USC and Oregon in the national championship game, that I'm going to say would give it to the Pac-10 or Pac-11 for the best conference. Florida State wins it. Ohio State wins it. That gives it to either of their best conference. If Ohio State makes it to the national championship, if Ohio State makes it to the national championship game and loses to Oregon, that gives it to the Big 10. So those are our 3 scenarios that we're looking at here for conference. For team, if Oregon wins it, they will take the best team. All these other teams are in for the first time, so then it would go to Duke for the best team in the video. Okay, so the one scenario we didn't talk about, Florida State versus USC in the championship. Okay, so now let's think about it. Florida State wins, obviously it goes to the ACC. With USC winning, this is the first time a Pac-11 team has been in the national championship game. So the ACC and the Big Ten have both had 2 in. Duke beat, who was the runner-up last season? It wasn't Michigan. Duke wasn't another Big Ten team, was it? Yeah, okay. So I think it goes to the ACC here, regardless of what happens. And Duke probably wins the best team. So Duke beat Florida last season. So yeah, it goes to the ACC. But I'm actually going to say that USC wins best team by virtue of winning 2 Heismans and the national championship. I think that that's better because Duke lost in their first round game. I don't know, they got the undefeated. We'll say that USC and Duke tie because I don't want to give it to USC again. So USC and Duke tie for best team. ACC gets the best conference. This is the golden era of conferences. Make sure that you check out the original video. I'll put it over there. For you guys to check it out. But make sure that you check that out so you can see some of the methodology for this. But we will catch you tomorrow for Freaky Friday.